Right then, how are we all doing? So this video is going to be about the CAA's recent survey. I suspect they emailed everyone that's on their operator list or their flyer ID list. That £9 they've taken has given them a nice database where they can just ask us questions. So they did. And the survey that they sent out was about reporting incidences, if you like, or an occurrence. So let's just have a quick little look what we have to report if we're flying in the open category. So if you're flying in the open category, so if you're flying a Mini, if you're flying a model plane and you're flying in the A3 open category, what do you have to report? That's the first thing we should look at. Now, CAP 722 has this guidance, and it is section 2.9.6.1. So what occurrences happened basically? Now, we have other occurrence. So the other occurrence could be did your drone disconnect from its tablet? That's an occurrence, and clearly it's structured as a flowchart. So there's other occurrence. Did the occurrence involve a manned aircraft? So your drone was blown away, never to be seen again. Did it involve a manned aircraft? Now, you may report it to the CAA, or if it involved a manned aircraft, so it was blown into the path of a manned aircraft and caused an issue, you must report it to the CAA. However, if you do a heavy landing, you break a prop, you smash your model plane, you have a servo problem, you get a dead stick in the air, you don't have to report that at all. We've then got a serious incident, so you must report it to the Air Accident Investigation Board. And then we've got, did the occurrence involve a manned aircraft? Yes or no? So if you did, it has to be reported to the CAA. No, you don't have to if it didn't, basically. We've then got an accident, and you must report this to the Air Accident Investigation Board. Did the occurrence result in a fatal or serious injury or involve manned aircraft? Yes, report to the CAA. No, you may report it to the CAA. And it's really simple, to be honest. It's a nice, very basic flow chart. You can find it in CAP 722. We've got it on the screen here for you, so you can look at it and admire how nice and simple it is. Now, when it comes to the specific category, however, so if you're flying under Article 16, this is where you could end up finding things a little bit different. So what occurrence has happened? We'll start with the other occurrence, so the most basic thing. Must report to the CAA in accordance with your operational authorization. So if you've got a PDRA 01 or you're flying in Article 16, you must look at Article 16 and read it to see what you must report. If your aircraft completely disappears, you would report that, for example. If I lost my drone while flying commercially, I would report that to the CAA. Now, serious incident, must report that to the Air Accident Investigation Board, and you must report it to the CAA in accordance with your operational authorization. That could be Article 16 again, or PDRA 01 or 02, etc. And then we have the accident, and we must report to the CAA we must report to the Air Accident Investigation Board and the CAA in accordance with your operational authorization. So it's very clear what we have to report. Now, the CAA's survey, let's have a little look at that, what questions they're asking. Right, so now let's look at the actual survey. Now, do we use or fly? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do fly stuff already. So, now, this is where it gets interesting. Are we familiar or unfamiliar? Now, if I was to go for A3 open category, I would say they may be somewhat unfamiliar, but they're not sure what should be reported. Okay. And where do you find out about requirements reporting? Well, we know it's CAP 722. Select all that apply. Well, I'm just going to go, it could be the Drone and Model Aircraft Code. It will be provided by the Model Association, so FPV UK, or it could be BMFA. If you're using Article 16, they will tell you. If you've got an operational authorization, you've got an operations manual. In your operations manual, it tells you what you should be reporting. Okay, and you could have had training, and if other. Well, we don't need other, but we'll just go on. Have you ever reported? No. We'll say no because most people haven't. Have you ever given up on? No, because we've not reported one. You see, have you ever given up? These are very leading questions, and they are sensible questions, but have you ever chosen not to report an occurrence because you weren't sure who to report it to? No, we're not. Not to report an occurrence because you weren't sure if it should be reported? No, we've not done that either. The two key reasons the regulations require people to report safety-related occurrences are to help the CAA in its role as a regulator to identify trends in the type of safety-related occurrences that are taking place, identify areas where aviation rules and guidelines could be adapted to improve aviation safety by preventing similar occurrences from happening again. So no, I've not seen any of those things. Now, what's really interesting is I'm going to go back a few years, there were some issues with the DJI M210 battery reporting incorrect voltages and percentage on flight time left, and quite a few aircraft were falling out the sky. I saw photos of about 10 or something, might have been 8, that had literally M210s which weigh 6.5 kilos falling out of the sky. And the CAA at the time, through the Air Accident Investigation Board, they just turned around and says, right, you cannot fly these in a congested area. Anyone with reduced distances, you cannot fly them until this issue is resolved. And that's why you report things, because the idea is if things are reported, the CAA can go, right, okay, this aircraft has this particular problem. We can tell everyone that's using it to help avoid there becoming a serious accident. That's why things are reported. So we'll continue onwards. About your views on reporting occurrences, which of the following will be the greatest obstacle? Well, not being aware, right. Obstacle to you reporting. So why? Not being aware the occurrence must be reported. I think that will be for a lot of people. Not knowing who to report to, that's going to be a big one for a lot of people. Yeah, if we've got to report to more than one organisation, that's very annoying, to be honest. A lot of people do not understand the benefit of reporting an occurrence. It's a mistake to believe that nothing would happen either, by the way. And it doesn't matter if you believe it was safe and legal regardless. Having to use a tool that does not recognise a specific of a drone or model aircraft. That would be true. You've got to understand the difference between a drone and model aircraft. You know, they are completely different machines. If I gave someone who's been flying a drone and gave them a model plane to fly, that model plane is not going to survive. Having to use a tool that does not work on a tablet or mobile devices. Now, this is where it starts to get leading down the street. This is what I think's going to happen. I think they're looking at creating an app for reporting occurrences. I think that's what they're up to. We'll get to why in a bit, but I think it's going to be an interesting thing. Having to use a digital form, well, no, that's going to happen. And there's a lot of fear of being penalised if you was at fault. I think that's going to be a big thing. These two, having to fill in a digital form's not really a problem. And I'll get to why I think they're going to change the way drone users and model flyers report things. This survey, I've done it once and been through it. It's very leading down the route of they're going to create an app. So we'll continue. What is it? So about your views on reporting safety-related occurrences. What type of information do you believe would be valuable to share with other flyers? So what's interesting is flight planning. If you're a model flyer and you go and fly a model plane, you don't actually plan a flight path. I don't think they understand the difference between a drone and a model aircraft, because they're thinking about flight planning. They're comparing us to manned aviation. Manned aviation will plan to fly from point A to point B. Or they're going to take off from point A, they're going to fly for an hour one way and then fly back. And they're going to plan that route. As a model flyer, what you do is you go down to the model flying club. Okay, you stand there and basically you'll end up flying circuits and doing some aerobatics. You don't actually do any flight planning. That doesn't really occur. If you're doing drone commercial flying, then you will typically, you'll go, right, in your head, I'm going to fly this route, that's what I'm going to do. But you don't write it on paper and plot it down or anything. That's not done. Okay. Now, preparing the aircraft, do the BMFA. If you're a model flyer or FPV UK, go and do the achievement scheme, because the BMFA A and the FPV courses, they will teach you about preparing your model plane. If it's a drone, subtly different, but this is about both, so I've got to be clear. How you prepare to fly both are a little bit different. They're similar, but there is a little bit of difference. Now, what else? Changing between same or different aircraft types. I actually don't have a problem with that. The worst thing is, I can go and fly a multi-rotor and then I can go and fly a fixed wing. I can then go and fly a multi-rotor again. My brain has that muscle memory. So when I go and fly a plane, and I've not flown one now, when I go down to the club next, I probably won't have flown a model plane for around 6 months. But I know that I won't get confused between how I fly a drone and how I fly a fixed wing. They're just so different. Your brain is instilled in your brain. I'll have a shakedown flight, so I've not flown a model plane for a long time, for example. I will go down to the site. I will check over the aircraft before I even leave the house, make sure I've got everything. Before I fly it at the field, I'll go over my controls again. I'll check it all out. I will literally make sure there's either no one else around at the club, because sometimes you just want to go and test stuff for the first time, or you're just going to make sure that you're happy with everything. I'm going to take off, fly around, come back, land, get the first flight out the way. I'll even do touch and goes to get used to landing again, because let's face it, with a model plane, once it's up, that's easy. Getting it back down on the ground in one piece, that's where a lot of people make mistakes. So, practice touch and goes to get your landing eye back in, stuff like that. Do some nice loops, do some rolls, jobs are good, and back into it. With a drone, it's like, put the battery in it, check the props, check there's no cracks on the airframe, check everything's running, turn it on, let it do its checks. You've got an app that tells you what's going on. With a model plane, you don't have an app that tells you what's going on with the model plane. With a drone, it tells you what your battery percentage is. With a model plane, you do not have that information unless you have some sort of telemetry. A lot of model flyers don't. We just fly for X amount of time, then we land, and that's it. So, human factor issues, what else we got there? Relating to operating controls. I must admit, I did teach at a model flying club for a long time. The worst thing I've had to do, just based on safety, was say to someone, I'm sorry, but you just cannot fly safely anymore. They got to an age, and no disrespect, I know there's people out there that can fly better than me, a lot older than me, but this gentleman, he enjoyed the building, he enjoyed the modelling side, but at the club, every time he flew, the risk was too high, and therefore it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do is go, I'm sorry, but because they just love building and they wanted to keep building and modelling. And I said to them, have they ever looked at radio controlled boats, modelling boats? Because there's a lot of detail in that and stuff. And they went on to do that instead. But that was the toughest thing I've had to do there. Human factor issues, though, relating to operating controls. Look, if you're down the model flying club and you take breaks, to be honest, people spend more time chatting down the model flying club than they do flying half the time. Changing components during operation, I almost missed that one. If you're flying commercially, you'll change batteries, you'll change SD cards. You don't change a lot of other things. You might change a prop, but to be honest, as a model and hobby flyer, you don't tend to change components during the day. What else have we got? Learning about how the CAA can help and provide support. Oh, you're suddenly interested. Bring back CAP 658 would be nice. Thank you very much. Anyway, there's a rant in there somewhere. So, what benefits would you like to see from the reporting system? Well, learning from the experience of others is always good. Receiving feedback, that wouldn't be a bad thing, would it? More freedom in flying due to better understanding of hazards. We already have plenty of flying freedom. It's only certain people that moan because they don't understand. But yeah, we could do with that. Help develop proactive maintenance recommendations. No, the BMFA already do that. This is where the CAAs, they're a regulator. I'm willing to bet no one in the office, if I gave them a model plane kit, could put it together, or let alone make recommendation on proactive maintenance for it. No offence to the CAA, they're great people, but honestly, if I give you a balsa kit, can you put it together and then tell me all the maintenance about it? Like I say, no disrespect to any of the other. It's just, they're the regulators. Go to the BMFA, they will explain proactive maintenance all day long to you. Clubs are the best place to learn about that for model flying every day of the week. Trends in performance are shared with manufacturers. Maybe. Yeah, we only want to report things once. That's not a bad one, I suppose. More comprehensive training and education. No, you're the regulator. You don't do training. You're only good at listening to lobbyists and coming up with rules that just aren't right. And sadly, I'm just going to go, look, when it comes to comprehensive training and education, see the BMFA or FPV UK. Because if you want to fly a model plane or even a drone, because they'll have people in the know. You go and learn to do your BMFA plane A, your helicopter A, and then go on to your plane B or your helicopter B. That is more comprehensive than anything else. Honestly, best place is not the CAA, I'm afraid. So next. Here we go. Help and provide support. Now this is going to be good. So, what would be your preferred method for reporting safety-related occurrence? Now, I'm going to rank them how I would want it. I think it should be an online form. I think an email may be good. And I think what else we got? Mobile app, sorry. We've got an email. email should be third. If you hit someone, 4. Now, the last two are a no in my opinion. So let's discuss via my mission planning software app. Now, that's very misleading because that could mean drone deploy. That might mean Pix4D. They might be talking about drone assist. They might be talking about UAV forecast. So your mission planning software app, that's a no for me. That's pointless because you're not being clear. Because technically, mission planning or airspace checking, which one are you actually talking about, CAA? That one there makes no sense to me. Just to be clear, this one makes no sense. Now, this one also makes no sense via my aircraft control app. So let's be clear. If you're flying a model plane, for example, and you're under Article 16, this is no good because quite clearly a model plane is the most basic kind of thing. All you've got is a transmitter in your hand. There is no app. It's clearly aimed at drones. They're not thinking about model aircraft at all, which is quite bizarre. You know, via my aircraft, via my aircraft control app. So what they're going to say, oh, DJI, you're now going to have to build in for the UK market a bit of thing for reporting software incidents into your app. Same goes for every other drone manufacturer. Again, that's pointless because not every aircraft has an app that controls it. They're just not thinking it through. Those are the two worst ideas by a country mile. You know, can you imagine going to DJI? So Go4 app, you're going to have to go back and now put the reporting software into that. Pointless. And via the mission planning software app, I think that's also pointless as well. So those two, no. It's going to be a mobile app. That's the road they're going to go down, and I can bet on it. I would literally put the biggest bet I could on it being a mobile app because it's the only one that actually fits everything that we do, from model aircraft to drones, to model helicopters, to flying jet models. The mobile app is the one thing that fits all in reality, or an online form. Those two, and then the phone, and of course the email. Via mission planning software doesn't fit, and via the aircraft control app doesn't fit at all. So those two are the pointless ones. Right, let's have a look at this. Would you be happy for data from your drone, model aircraft, operational or mission planning apps to be used to... No, not in a country mile. And that's because, how's that going to... Are they going to suddenly make it so that Ardu Pilot or my HearLink suddenly has to have the reporting software on it to take the data from my flight controller? There's too many ifs and buts there, so no, I do not agree that that should be submitted or done automatically, and it won't work for every aircraft. A model plane does not keep any kind of log. It's hilarious. It is so funny. Whoever wrote this does not understand how a model aircraft works. Because will you be happy from data from your drone, model aircraft, operational or mission planning apps to be used to auto-populate a reporting form? Oh, go on then. For a model aircraft, I say yes. You can try and get data from my receiver that just talks to servos. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't log anything. You can get that data if you can. Clearly, a lack of understanding somewhere. You know, and drone, no, you don't want your drone auto giving out data. It's like, it's crazy. So again, mission planning apps and operational apps are different. That means that every manufacturer would have to make an app into their app to do it just for this one thing. It doesn't make sense. So I'm just going to say no, because there's no logic in there. You know, they might be going, oh, we're just thinking about DJI drones, which is what they commonly think of. They're not thinking of the bigger world, the bigger market, if you like, or the full market, if you like. And the full market, of course, is model aeroplanes, model helicopters, and not just drones. And we're going to have to get away from the word drone as well. So next we've got reporting service. What other methods do you believe will be useful or will you participate in for collecting and sharing information about safety related occurrences? Well, the BMFA does a good thing. So, our model club does stuff and stuff. CAA workshops, no. So the CAA workshops on selected topics, no, the CAA doesn't report back already enough or do enough. When I worked at NQEs and REs, you might get together twice a year with the CAA. They haven't got the staff to do CAA workshops now. That alone do what all the other stuff they're meant to be doing. One-to-one interviews, they haven't got the time for that. The CAA does not have the time for that. You've got to apply some sense in here somewhere. Anonymous surveys, I'm not sure about that. And if there's anything else I can think of, no, not at this time. What type of information provided by the CAA would help you operate your drone or unmanned aircraft? What's hilarious is rules on where to fly. We already have rules on where to fly. Don't provide things twice. Practical flight training. The CAA cannot provide practical flight training. That they cannot do. They are a regulator, not a training school. If you want to learn how to fly practically, go to a model flying training school or go to the BMFA or model flying club where you'll be taught how to fly a plane, model plane, glider, helicopter correctly. Do not go to the CAA for practical flight training. That's just daft. Online training and briefing material on flying. No, again, model flying associations are the place to go. And quite clearly, if Demares, the flyer ID, people do it, they tick the boxes, they even do the ATCFC. There's no practical flight test, and it's a good job because nobody seems to grasp anything. And it doesn't stick in their minds. So, online training and briefing, no, go down to a proper model flying club. It's the best way. Okay. The only thing that might be interesting is safety reports from other flyers. If we've got a problem and it's all with the M210, as was reported by fire and police services, then that's what we want to know. That a particular aircraft has got a battery issue. That's what I care about. So safety reports from other flyers, that's what I basically care about. So statistics on reporting across the RPAS industry, that'd be interesting, but you've got to split it down into categories. So we only care about hobbyists and commercial. So that's what I would, if they were to do that and bunch it all into one, that's not good for me. I want that splitting. So statistics on safety reporting, one is for hobby, one is for the commercial. That's what I want there. What else have we got? Ooh. Yes, I do fly a model aircraft as a hobby. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So basically, I do fly a model aircraft as a hobby. Yes, I've got some model planes here. Are you a member of a flying club or association? I'm both. I'm a member of 2 model flying clubs actually, and an association. And yes, I do use my aircraft for work, quite clearly. About how you use. Is the work where you use the drones and aircraft your own business? Yes, it is. You're being nosy, CAA. I'm going to say, well, we just use it commercially and we'll leave it there. Do you have a drone and model? Yes, I do, because it's illegal not to have it. Because for 80 plus years, we were all happy and fine. But no, some some muppet decided we've got to pay £9 to prove that we're legal. Got a feeling I've got a rant in me somewhere. Yes, because it's legally, I have to have one. It's just stupid. Again, right, paying my £9 to say that I'm legally allowed to fly them after 80 years before that we haven't had to have one. It's just a joke. Anyway, where did I get to? There's a rant. Yes, sadly I hold that and I hold that. So I have the PDRA 1 and I also have something else. Oh, look, what do we have? Additional remote pilot qualifications. Well, I can have that. I'll have that. I'll have that. Sadly, they're not saying do you hold any model associations certifications like the BMFA, Plane A, Helicopter A, Multi-Rotor A. They seem to think the A2C of C is a pilot qualification. It's a certificate of competence. It's just a few little tick boxes and you're meant to be a certificate of competence. No, it's not, in my opinion. It's a certificate of something, but, you know. And then we've got a GVC multi-rotor and GVC fixed wing. And to be honest, if you hold the BMFA plane A or you hold the helicopter BMFA A or B, especially the B, it makes those two tests look easy. And anyone that flies model helicopters like I do will be laughing if you said that the GVC multi-rotor is a flight test of any kind. Trust me, we would all be laughing. Oh, can you hear the wind in the background? So, how often do you fly drones or model aircraft? Ooh, I'm several times every month. Ooh, I'm not sure. I'm not going to answer that question. I'll leave you all to guess on that, how many hours I do a month. They're getting a bit nosy, aren't they? I don't think it's got a lot to do with them how often I fly. And there we go. Thank you for taking part in the survey. So quite clearly, it's all about reporting. And they want to start getting some statistics. I was going to say, they want to start numbers gathering. They want to get some data. They want to get data. So clearly, it's going to end up being an app that we're all going to have that means we can report when we have an occurrence of some kind. That's clearly the road. It's down, going down, and that's it. So, yeah, if you wonder what the survey was about, that's it basically. They're just out to find a way to get a load of data on what's happening out there, flying drones, flying model aircraft, and, you know, should they bring out an app or do it some other way? Quite clearly, it's going to be an app, not connected to the one that flies the drones because that would be silly. Although there's a lot of flyers I know that don't even have phones that are smartphones. So I do know the model flying clubs I fly at, you know, this is scary. So the ones of us, the youngest ones of us are around 50. The older guys, which are in their 60s and their 70s, they don't all have smartphones at all. They have push button phone, but a smartphone, not so much, bizarrely. So yeah, even having an app for a lot of the older flyers wouldn't really work. They can just about do emails as well. So yeah, quite clearly it's they want to go down one road. It has to be an app, and I can see that coming out either this year or next year for reporting. We're all going to have this app, and that'll be that. More rules. It was quite interesting about safety, you know, flight education and all that. Why they, the regulator, I wouldn't trust to do any kind of teaching because they'll just farm it out again. And the BMFA is the best place, or FPV UK, to be honest, or any of the model flight training schools that exist already. You know, I couldn't go to most of the RAEs and go, teach me to fly that model plane, because they're only able to fly a drone. And even then, you'll find instructors that can't even operate a fixed wing. They'll be able to operate a multi-rotor, but if you said, oh, can you show me how to fly a fixed wing, please? Not got a clue. And then don't even go down the road of VTOLs, because that's just even, yeah. There's a rant in there somewhere. Anyway, that was the CAA survey. That's what it was about. Safe flying, everyone. Remember, in the A3 open category, unless you actually hit a manned aircraft or you seriously hurt someone, you don't actually have to report it. If you're flying under Article 16 or PDRA 01, remember, you must report as per those authorisations state you to report things. Right, later.